So I suppose now that we can talk about spoilers, I think the campaign was full of pretty great moments.
It was almost certainly exactly that by design.
Yeah.
And it, because of the reliance on characters you know instead of new characters for the most part,
Yeah.
it ended up landing substantially better than I would have imagined in the other world.
Yeah, they landed
with
that
how
shit
short it is.
great. And the sort of smaller number of new characters that there are, they benefit a lot from... They benefit a lot from the balance between old and new. And that's resulted in, like, now that I'm doing the campaign, you sort of know the new characters pretty well, sort of care about the new characters. They've executed that way better than the past. And I guess it also feels more interconnected. You know the way in the, like, maybe you have like the Flynn, Fairwind, and Talia stuff where they just felt in their little airlock.
Yeah.
Whereas here, just stuff feels way better planned, way more integrated. It feels more like the people making things have been talking to each other. I guess, whereas in the past, you know, the way WoW could suffer from feeling quite, bits of it were isolated from other bits of it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that problem is way, way, way less of a problem now. And it was interesting listening back to the Scott Johnson, Chris Metzen interview, talking about how they're currently plotting out 13.1 and 13.2, which, you know, by the way, is like the
end of the saga.
Yeah, the end of the saga, and they're talking about expansion ideas beyond that. Mm-hmm. You can tell there's way more of a plan, but equally, you know, Metzen did say it's not like they're just sitting down and everything's very prescriptive, but it does seem that they're trying to be more focused on their characters, and then it's like they have a tighter set of beats they want to hit, and then people are filling everything in.
Yeah, so the way I would describe it is there's some things that are sooner rather than later, right? There's things like the resolution of the Titans. That feels sooner rather than later because everything's tied very tightly.
Yes.
Whereas you go to maybe Hallowfall, and there's definitely a lot of things been set up that can be paid off, but it feels a little bit more in the generic sense, which doesn't mean bad in this case because a lot of the local stories are really good, but the local stories are very much about the Hallowfall Arathi and like that opposed to the Arathi back home. Whereas the Isle of Dorn stuff is, a lot of it is a little bit more specific on things we can imagine to see very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm definitely, so from doing stuff in the Isle of Dorn, especially, let's see. Oh wait, no, I can talk about spoilers because it's a spoiler cast. I don't need to do euphemism. Yeah. Fighting the big mech at the end. That's, you're breaking the, what is it, the thing that, unestablishing the edicts. Oh, it's been a long day. I didn't sleep amazingly. Basically, whenever they cast off the Titan edicts and a big Titan like mech thingy comes to kill them all. Yeah, the Titan stuff is coming pretty quick.
Yeah, I will clarify.
They're pretty overt.
Yeah, I will clarify that we're not going to spoil the campaign today. But everything else.
Oh, yeah,
everything else.
Yeah, the new stuff.
Yeah, everything else is fair game.
Yeah.
Everything else is fair game. So yeah, you're talking specifically about the first chapter of the max level campaign.
Yes.
Yeah, where we go sort out the rooks, and then turns out that one of the Titans had, and this is actually something it's alluded to, right? So if you okay, I will mention, if you played in early access, and I think it was gone by the end of early access. It might have been like up for one day on live servers after early access, but the special assignment for the Isle of Dorn, the World Quest at 80, that gave you the weekly cash, actually spoiled the max level campaign for you, which wasn't available yet because it was the way the World Quest reuse quests, it was a reuse of that, and I was like, Blizzard, this is so silly. This is so silly. You should have manually checked this. What are you doing? Not a big deal, like, obviously, but you're talking about the fact that the Earthen now combined, the three different sects of them now recombined as the Oathsworn, the Unbound, and the Machine Speakers. They all came together, went, fuck the Titans. Not quite literally, and we hate these guys, but we want freedom now.
Yeah.
They've been gone for long enough. We can't help our new friends defeat the Nerubians and solve the Xal'atath problem while adhering to the Titans' edicts, which are very specific edicts, which I will bring up because I've prepared this earlier. The edicts specifically are build and maintain the structures and facilities of Dornogal and the Coreway, protect the city of Dornogal and the Coreway, maintain the Titan machines above and along the Coreway. So, those are the edicts, and they went, we're not doing this anymore. Bosses are gone. They're not even here to give a shit if we do it or not.
Yep.
To hell with them. We're gonna be free, gonna do our own thing, save the world. And then giant offshore death robot just went, deed by fuck you're not. Which is obviously a very colloquialism, but it was,
That's exactly what it said.
It was, Earthen rebellion, Earthen defying the Titan's will detected, murder time, which is dire. But that was actually alluded to in one of the side quests. There's a side quest where up on the northeastern island, you're there with the expedition people.
Yeah.
Rhiannon River's name is, who I don't like, the blood elf who pretended to be a couple hundred years old, but is actually 20. It's really funny. Yeah. And you're like grabbing Titan artifacts to sell them, and one of them is active. It activates and goes. It scans the blood elf, and it goes something along the lines of unrecognized life form detected, connecting to defense system uplink, and then flies off over the sea where the robot eventually comes from.
Aha.
And you're like, oh. So obviously I didn't know about the robot. Did that side quest. Was like, defense uplink? I don't know about that. I don't like that very much. And then it worked.
Did you get payoff?
Yeah.
You got payoff from your side quest?
Set up in a side quest and payoff in the next level campaign. I'm like, oh my god. Edicts being dropped was very sudden considering the split and conflict between Earth and like a few hours ago in the level up campaign. I don't agree. Mostly because they've been split for a long time, and this is their reconnecting. Because they've been split the whole time. The whole point of the Eldorn, most of the campaign, is Baelgrim kind of seeing he was a little bit too stiff, and Edelgon realizing that maybe she shouldn't have just went, fuck, he's away, see you later. And they go, oh, maybe, we should be, vaguely reasonable about this. So it's like, they're ready to get together, just hadn't had time to talk. Basically, yeah, we went, all right, okay, we'll all be like nice again. And the thing was obviously Brent. The whole time Brent was up there, she was speaking for the speakers. It was just High Speaker Eric was a bastard.
Yeah.
And was causing the problems. So
he is enjoyably a bastard.
Oh, he's great. He's excellently performed.
Fun dungeon too.
Stonefall?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stonefall's good.
And
most of the dungeons are great.
I've noticed that. And also they're short.
Yeah.
And even going into Stonevault, they have little minecarts so that you get back quickly. So I think in one of the interviews they mentioned raid skips or like raid checkpoints, and I guess playing Stonevault, I thought, fucking hell, they're thinking about my travel time here. Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a very good stripper spot. The Earthen, just like with the Dragonkin and DF, what's the point of a servitor race that has free will and the capacity for rebellion and resentment? What makes you think when the Earthen were created, they had the capacity for rebellion and resentment and free will? Because they didn't initially. That's one of the things you learn as you go through the side quests, and I'll give you a very specific example. I literally have a Warcraft wiki page open here, so I can grab side quests specifically and show you. If I can only find them, actually, which is a good point because I can't remember any of their names. That's because I'm in the wrong storyline. Let me go back to the real storyline. The first one it's not Hope and Anomaly. No. Let's see. I'll actually just show you what I'm doing so I can show you these.
Yes, I jump in, but
yes, other options.
I'm planning to do these on my hunter when I level it.
Okay, so here we go, right? It's Hidden Edicts, which is something that you basically go with Brinth and Dagran to sort some stuff out, but it ends with you basically learn, you go to this armory, and there's a little bit of story of Watcher Dornick and Watcher thing, but the important part is you get the Reconstructed Ledger, which starts with so it starts with just notes, catalog, and different cuts of stone, and then some sketches, and this kind of goes through over time. And this is not a very good site for stream, but it's fine. So this Earthen starts to open up to something.
Yeah,
doesn't know what it is. Are the Titans calling me? Is this anger? Is this sadness? But we don't feel those things. No, it's something else. So they ultimately wake up to basically emotion. The longer they're awake, the longer they're alive, they wake up to emotion.
They develop it over time.
Yeah, they develop it over time, which the game establishes or attempts to establish that it's a process of collecting memories that gives you this, which is weird. But anyway, it's like, there are sketches of stones, but then an almost perfect rendering of an Eye of Topaz butterfly, which is very specifically the case of this isn't the Curse of Flesh. These things, for whatever reason, these Earthen, for whatever reason, being here on Kaz-Algar, they eventually, be it the accumulation of memories in the memory gem, because memories are important to function. You need memory. Take your RAM out of your CPU, out of your computer. It's not going to do anything.
Yep.
So that you see them actually awakening to things like art. And they're like, I'm going to draw. Why? Because I draw. And this ends up being like an anti-Titan kind of rebellion-y bit started up. But that's exactly what they're doing with like putting together the fact that the free will isn't part of the Titan design. And in fact, the Watchers start to go, stop having free will. We don't like that. Be bound to our edicts.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's like Dornick and Galen. Dornegal. That's it. That's where the name comes from. They named the place in honor of the Watchers. And then the Watchers started to get angry and not like the Earthen very much for a variety of reasons. Which is more to that, but I'll maybe tell that story another day or another point. I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's actually like that's the kind of stuff that's being told in the side quests and being sold if you're like reading along and following things.
The side quests often do pay off.
They
with,
really
like
do, yeah.
Actually interesting stuff.
Yeah. So there's one example that it's a follow. It's a slightly follow up to this. That'll bring up. Do they have it? Do you have it on Warcraft Wiki? Do you maybe? Let's see. I'll try.
It's there in criteria.
Yeah, I'll try Walkhead. Galen's Edict. Do you have Galen's Edict? You don't. That's right. Galen's Edict is not here. I had to grab it myself. Damn. But anyway, it's... Oh, actually... Yeah, so you can see the imager. Can you? Just about. It's not a great screenshot. That's underwater. Those are 2 earthen bodies.
Oh!
That's an edict. Galen killed them, fired them into the ocean and said, this is what happens if you defy my will. You defy my will. It's just a warning killing. Like,
yeah.
It's heads on spikes outside Donegal. Crazy stuff if you actually look around and see things. So that's all there. Like,
yeah, the thing is there's quite a lot of care and attention.
Yep.
There's a lot of care and attention put in. I wonder when Tyr will come back into the story.
So that's a good question.
Yeah, because it feels like all the obvious questions weren't asked in Dragonflight.
I will say that I don't know if Tyr will show up in this expansion. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be... Just because I struggle to see where the story is literally going to go. Because you only know what you know, right? We can't say in X.1.5 Tyr will show up because we don't know what the patch is about. But I will know that Tyr is... in a roundabout way, brought up. And it actually connects directly to this bit as well. Because, I still have it open. It's actually very useful. So, they say here about, we rejoiced and proposed the name of the fortress. When our keeper brought them to us, our blessed keeper may soon not return. That keeper was Arcadis. Arcadis, the boss we unceremoniously killed in Uldaman for some loot. And access to the discs of Morgana behind him. But that specifically was Arcadis was Tyr's ally. In the writings that Tyr had in Dragonflight, in early Dragonflight, it was Arcadis and Ironaya were actually his allies. Like they were the keepers of the Watcher Tyr. So those specifically are actually that connection's there. Arcadis, the keeper, is in one of the plays in the theatre troupe at the Proscenium. One of the plays is a reenactment of whenever they got rid of Watcher Dornick and Galen rebelled. And they got rid of Dornick in that play, so I'm not sure if it's a dramatization or if it's real or not. Arcadis helped them open a portal that the Earthen pushed Dornick through to get rid of him. So Arcadis was on their side, on the side of these up and coming mortals. Which then you go, okay, well, what is that trying to tell you? Arcadis, which obviously implies Tyr and Ionaya on the same side.
It speaks to a rebellion.
It speaks to those being the ones on the mortal side, as opposed to the Titans' tyrannical side. Which means if Tyr's standing there and Aman'Thul comes down and goes, wipe all these bugs off my planet, he's going to go, no, I like the bugs. Which is, exactly what he did with the... Obviously, he was implicit in order infusing the dragons, but he did that and they were still, they still had most of themselves. So it wasn't like he straight up, mind controlled them. Because the dragons were never mind controlled. Just very gently nudged into ordery ways.
They were just, put something in the water and make them think like us.
Yeah, which, but
still cracks me up.
Anyway, the point being that Tyr is definitely hinted as being an ally to us in the long run, which we already kind of knew, but there's more of it going on here. Like they're actually they're continuing to push that story of not all things made by the Titan are bad. There could be Watchers and Keepers on our side, which would certainly there's another bit.
Actually, that helps against the 3D printed problem.
Yeah, it does, because the Watchers aren't just robots. The Watchers get angry. Dornick gets angry. And even that specifically is said here, where he says, only the Keepers, Watchers, and Titans feel such things, which implies that whatever's imbued in the Watchers and the Keepers is considered sentience, whereas these things aren't sentient until they become sentient through exposure to something.
Bit of Westworld Season 1. All you have to do is suffer endlessly, and then you'll become conscious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good bit of what's going on there. It is setting up.
Yeah, and that's one small part of the Eladorn side questing.
Yeah. Yes, so that's definitely setting up an expansion.